Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Now we have been acknowledging this, since the start of this series, is to show how inclusive that we are as a community, the diversity of this land that we're in, which is Canada, and being in a diverse land, it's good to mingle and intertwine, and it's also good for us here in the GCAO to basically always commune as a community. So it's a big pleasure of us to be able to bring you guys this programming that we have here. And if you guys have any friends or anybody that that you guys think may benefit from being in community, always feel free to refer them to us in of the GCAO, by their name, address, phone number, or email, and you could either send information to myself, Mary, or anybody here in the group, and we'll gladly join them, add them, as it's very important. Community is very important. And so what we're gonna do, guys, just to break that. First of all, salutations. My name is Mike Truth, and I am a member of the GCAO Youth Wing. And what we're going to do, guys, is we have some prizes. As you guys know, we always have prizes, guys. Like we are going to be playing some games with y'all. A little game that we've come up with, so we could just let loose a little bit before we get into the inspiration session. And today I'm very, very excited for the conversation. But before we get into the conversation and everything, I what do you call it? I want us to play a game. Who's down to play like a little game, a little, warm-up game? If you're down, let me get a one in the comments. Let me know you're alive. Let me know the Lord has blessed you. I hope you guys enjoyed your Easter. The Lord has blessed you with livelihood. Let me put a Stephanie's alive, Kojo's alive, Siegfried's alive. Oh, I like that. I like that. Hey, Doreen is alive. I feel alive. Maureen's alive. Oh my goodness. Okay. So Maureen says, please click the link up to join. Okay, so Maureen put a link in the chat. Like she put a link in the chat. I don't know if you guys are able to scroll. First of all, do you guys know where the chat is? If you don't, if you are using if you're using a what do you call it, a laptop, it is at the bottom. It is the fourth option at the bottom on mine. I hope it's the same for you guys as well. So there's a link in there, and it's a link to Slido. So, Marina, I'm not sure if you have are you able to, what do you call it, expand it? And if you're not, just let me know.
Expand one.
The screen for the Slido game, or
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me share my screen.
okay, cool, cool, cool. So yes, guys. So as always, we believe in like just like warming up, and so we have games that we're going to do. This is called the emoji game. So we're gonna play the emoji game. And this has been like I think that you guys are gonna enjoy. Yeah, you will enjoy it because I know I am. So yeah, so just click on the link in the chat by Maureen. Oh, okay, I see you guys. I see gift. Let me see who are like the real winners. Can you guys see it? Maureen, can you post it again? Can you repost it again and what you call it in the chat so it'll be
Sure, I'll post the link.
the
Yeah,
latest. Bum, 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 bum. But nah, yo, the music you were playing, Maureen, it was really, really it was something though. It had me moving. I'm like, hey,
that's good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
That was the
selected.
intention.
No, but
A
like
mini party.
I swear, seriously, like even because of that, now I'm like, you know what? Like this makes me want to be like, yo, we should do something, guys. Like, and I think as we've been talking about, we should do something like this. This say like everybody here that that are not part of like the main group. Do you guys think we should do something massive like this summertime, the GCO? We should do like an event where we all get to come together and then enjoy our Ghanaianness, be Ghanaian to the fullest, and enjoy our music and food and things like that. I think yeah. A Barbie, okay, see that? Yeah. If you guys you guys have any ideas and stuff, you guys are free to put them in the comments. I like that. Brianna said barbecue. I like barbecues. And I think so Ghanaian food is amazing, especially Ghanaian jollof. I don't know if someone the Ghana jollof that if you guys have had Ghanaian jollof. I love it. I love Ghanaian jollof. Just saying. Just saying.
There's no
Okay.
such thing as Ghanaian jollof.
Oh, we will not start this.
There's just jollof. That's it.
Madam VP, we will not start this. It's Ghanaian jollof, Madam VP. It's Ghanaian jollof. I understand it's Senegalese for they want to, you know. Did the answer show? All right, guys.
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm seeing something. Nah, I think the answer's showing.
It did? Wait, yeah? Hold on.
Hey, Mourinho,
No,
show.
not yet.
We
But
have-
everyone, if you can please join, continue to join, sign.
yeah.
Or
All right,
put a name in it
so we
for
see
people.
a gift. Doreen, Seek, and Nathaniel have joined. I
So,
I like winners like that. I like people like that. They want to win. If you guys want to win,
Nathaniel definitely wants to win.
exactly. My guy Nate. If you guys want to win, make sure that you guys join. So all you gotta do is just click on the link, put your name, and then you, my friend, you might be a winner. Winner chicken dinner. Or maybe winner jollof dinner.
Can we get at least one more person?
Ghana jollof
Come
winner.
on. Let's see what you know about Ghana.
Okay, I mean, hey.
Win a prize.
Well, then, like you know what? Like this is actually good. I think that we could probably start with this, and then once people say them, see the winning and the blessings come. That's how people are sometimes. So, and I understand. So you guys might be shy. It's just rule. Don't be shy. We don't bite. But you know what? I think that we're good to start the game. I think we're good to start the game.
Okay, let's start.
I see. So we're good to start the game.
So just like
Unless,
um,
yeah, go ahead.
there's that other program, just like Cahoots, the first person to answer gets the prize.
Oh snap! One of the fastest rappers in Africa. Is it Manifest, Kwesi Arthur, or Sak, or the Biddy Bompan, or a Manifest? Who? Pick your answer. Make it quick. Okay, all right. Okay, shoot. We got people here. Okay, all right, cool. Being your Sarkodie, that's what Sarkodie, and like everybody got it right. I like that. Okay. I like that. So that was question number one. Did you guys get it right? Even the ones that didn't play, that are not gonna get the prizes. Did you get it right with your non-prize getting self? All right, I think so we're ready for question number two. Ms. Maureen, if you would do the honors, please. Man, you put them songs in my head. All right, Miss Mo, DJ Mo. I think so they're ready for the next question.
Yeah, that's the next. Oh, okay. Oops.
It's all good. It's all good. You're living in the future. Nipa dasani. Man, you got that song stuck in my head.
Is it possible for someone to read some of the questions? Because
Yeah.
I'm driving, it's hard for me to read and drive.
Oh, we're just waiting for it to load. It's still on the fastest rapper in Africa, but when it comes on,
Oh, it is?
Question number
yeah,
three.
it is.
I thought people are answering.
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
people
already
are
going.
on question
You're in the
number
fourth
three.
question.
You guys on the
Question
fourth
number three?
Golly.
Yeah.
I think the screen
Okay.
is
Well,
just
then my screen is probably frozen then. So then my screen.
Okay, I'm gonna read it then. Okay, so the fourth question was acclaimed Ghanaian journalist, media exec, and professor who is passionate about bringing diverse voices to Canadian media. And we have the answer.
Oh my God! Like Slido doesn't want me
There
to
we
be.
go. Next question. Internet famous for Ghanaian recipes and Hello Sweet Team.
What are the options?
We have Nanama McBrown, Tatiana Haina, and Sweet Ajeli.
I guess Slido don't want me to win. No, it's frozen.
And the answer was Sweet Ajeli.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. And
Next
then,
question.
man.
Well, it's not a question. Calls himself the dancehall king of Ghana. Amrado,
Not the option.
Shatawale, and Stonebwoy.
Hey, you can never be wrong with this one. Oh, oh my goodness. Wait, I'm curious. Wait, what was the answer?
Everybody answered Shatawale.
Well, I think the Stone Boy would like to bet. He like to differ.
good, but I think a lot of people. Me arguing out loud.
Wow. That's hilarious.
This popular Ghanaian pageant means angel in Swahili. Miss Universe, Miss Ghana, Miss Malaika.
I think I know which one I want to choose. I think I know which one I want to choose.
And we have Miss Malaika.
Miss Malaika. It means angel.
So Nathaniel is winning now.
Of course.
Hey, no mercy, Nate.
This traveler turned global star is known for raw lyrics and emotional storytelling. Is it Kofi
Oh,
Kenata, Kojo Q, or Black Sherry?
I like what you did there. I like what you did there. Good question. I like what you did.
Okay, this artist is known for her soulful voice and bold artistic flair. Is it Becca, Ifya, or Riala?
Hmm. Hey, yo, these are like, if these were like what you call the quizzes, I would fail though. It's very close.
The answer was Ifya.
Oh, but I like Wayala.
This is the largest and oldest pageant founded by the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah.
The Nkrumah ball.
Option A, Ghana Most Beautiful. Option B, Miss Ghana. Or option C, Miss Malaika.
Oh,
We have option D, Miss Ghana selected.
intéressant. Pas de tenue. Is the next question up? Because I'm just
Yep. This is the last question. Statement, Afrofusion princess with hits like Forever. Is it Jackie, Sina Soul, or Ms. V?
Akosia Japan.
We have Jackie selected.
And it was Jackie.
Jackie Apia. Wow.
So Nathaniel won.
Nate
Who's
won.
second place?
Who's second?
Gift.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I can see now. Gift.
No
Okay.
way, no way. I disagree with Nathaniel winning because he's
Why?
sitting staring at the computer. No, by the time I've been move to the thing, and not it says it's voting close.
Hey man, we don't make the rules, man. I mean, we do, but still, we don't make the rules.
Next time we'll make it a bit longer.
But but nah, honestly, so big congrats to Nate for participating because you know that's you get participation points. You get participation points, Nate.
That's
Bless
right.
you. And then Gift. Congrats, Gift. Congrats.
You are our official winner. So
You
please
are.
leave me your email.
Exactly. So yes. Ooh, we got a next game and like, oh, I see you and we see you, Miss Guest of Honor. We see you here in our midst. We're excited to speak to you. We're just gonna play one more game, uno más, and then after that, we shall get into it. All right. So what's the next game? Ooh, I'm gonna slide over. I hope this time it works for me because the last time I was just frozen. Just like,
Yeah, you weren't alone. I think it was just the screen.
I felt like I need a Michael Jackson song. You
This
and
one
I,
here.
you know.
So you can either click the link or go to slido.com and it will show you the game pin that we have on the screen now.
Okay.
Trivia a
Ooh,
little
I like
bit more.
that. I like the people that are playing. Guys,
Yes,
join
perfect.
because
See the
like I said,
competition is up. We
we
have some winners
we're
here.
getting prizes all time, and we're not just no a prize. You're getting the whole $5 to a Tim Hortons. I'm just joking. It's not $5, it's so much, but you know. All right. Let me see if
Slido.com. We have a lot of people already joining already.
oh, you see, I knew it. The minute this thing is going like people gonna hear prizes, I know some people gonna join. Hey, Ghana 4.
Competition increased.
In the words of Manasa, hey, Ghana 4.
We'll give it another minute.
Nipa Destiny. All right, I see it. People joining. And I said, Brianna, boy, hey, Ghana 4. Me pay prices, Papa. Like I love that. I love that.
Yeah, at my church, we do a Christmas banquet with trivia, and everyone goes in on it. Check my answer. Check my answer. You taking up the question, Stephanie? I'm like,
I
I'm
tell
fine.
you, competition is stifle.
It's very serious.
Oh, I think that Sig is probably going. He's coming back because sometimes it freezes on people. So just a little bit,
So it's
maybe.
saying only 6 people have joined. Is everybody on?
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco,
Get
seis.
some more people on,
You
the
say,
price suite
you know what?
to
Okay.
see what you know, everyone.
All right, so we're gonna give it about 20 more seconds, and then Charlie, the bus is gonna leave. The bus is gonna leave in about 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8.
But I see there is 14 people online. So I guess the question becomes who's not on it?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. If you
One,
snooze, you lose.
don't get the chance.
You
Let's
lose
start it
though.
up.
No price for you. All right. All right,
So
let's
again, it's just like Kahoots. The quicker that you answer, the more points you can get.
yes. Excellent.
Sure.
All right, we're ready, Miss Game. We're ready.
The question is on the screen. What is
Okay,
Ghana's
okay.
national currency called?
Okay.
A, gold, B, cedi, C, dollar.
It's not showing me. It's not showing
Oh,
me
you
that.
can't see it?
No, it's okay. Don't worry
No.
about me. Me, I'm not even going.
The answer is cedi.
Oh, sir. Let me just say, yo,
Starting off with
uh,
some
that was
easy points.
that was dollars. Do it again. It's ask for dollars. But yeah.
Second question. What popular Ghanaian street
Hello.
snack?
I'm not sure I have the same screen.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
you
on
can.
your phone,
Is it?
it will show you the question. I think the slide on the laptop is maybe frozen. So if you are signed in onto Slido on your phone, then you should be able to see the question a little bit easier.
It's because it doesn't want you to win.
I know.
That's why.
Hey,
I'm
he took
sorry.
Kevin.
We'll
Oh,
read it out.
Abonsanfo cannot win. All right. So I think I can see it on my own screen now. All right. Next question.
Really?
Next question. I'm waiting for the next one. Is it on the next one already or? Oh.
No, next one is coming.
All right. In Ghana, when somebody says chop money, what are they referring to? Bribe, failed business, food allowance, or spending money? So chop money. Is that bribe, failed business, or food allowance, or spending money?
Hope you guys got this. Again, the click of your fingers.
Quick. Aha, it's food or spending money. That's chop money. Uh-huh. Hey, shameless. What is the Ghanaian version of storytelling often delivered in a song or rhythm during childhood games? Is it Ampe, Anansesem, or Ludu Call? The Ghanaian version of storytelling often delivered in song, rhythm during childhood. Ampe, Anansesem, or Ludu? Oh, hold up. How is that? Hey, you guys are good, oh. You guys are really Ghanaian, pa. Good job. And it's Anna system. All right. What's the name of Ghana's state-owned daily newspaper that was established in 1950? Graphic, Ghanaian Times, or Daily Guide? Graphic, Ghanaian Times, or Daily Guide? The name of Ghana's state-owned daily newspaper. Is it Graphic, Ghanaian Times, or Daily Guide? Yeah, pull up again. Ooh, this is a 50-50. 50-50. Hey, we have fierce competition, Pao. Broadcasting began in Ghana from a wired relay station opening in Accra. Which date? Is it March 16th, 1997, March 25th, December 25th, 1992, or July 31st, 1935? When did broadcasting in Ghana begin? December 25th, 19, ay, another, I don't know. Heck yeah. This is draw. Who's right?
Everyone got that wrong.
Heck yeah. So when did it begin? I don't know. Was established by law. So which was established by law in 1968 with a triple mandate as a state broadcaster, public service broadcaster, and a commercial broadcaster? The GBC, Metro TV, or TV3? GBC, Metro TV, or TV3? Established 1968. Which one? GBC. GBC, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, like that, I think. Yeah. Okay. As of 2023, what is Ghana's population according to the World Bank? Nearly 34 million, nearly 60 million, nearly 43 million. Huh, I know this. So what is Ghana's population as of 2023? 34 million, 60 million, or 43 million approximately? Let me know. Okay, all right, nearly that's the 34 million. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Although relatively small in area and population, Ghana is one of the leading countries of Africa. Duh. What kind of food is this?
That's supposed to be easy.
That one, if somebody gets it wrong, but hey, the way we will kick off the say. Ghanaian weddings are famously short and serious, colorful and extravagant, boring and predictable. If you feel this one. Ghanaian weddings are famously short and serious, colorful and extravagant, boring and predictable. Ghana, predictable? Hey. Good job, good job. You guys are Ghanaians. Okay, all right. So like how many more questions we got?
That's it.
Whoa, wow. Wait, yo, this was a fierce one. Oh, this one was a fierce one. It's like we got people that got 9 out of 10. And like this was between we say No Mercy Nate and Nanaba. And I believe that because No Mercy Nate thinks that he could come and like show no mercy, we're not gonna show him no mercy. So Nanaba, hey, you the champ, you the best. Send us your email, por favor, so we could actually send you your prize. Yeah, winner, Jollof winner. Okay, so you guys, honestly, so like it has been fun, and now we are going to get into this. We're gonna get into this. So once again, welcome everybody to Inspire from Within, a program where we speak to folks within our community that are doing amazing stuff, and we look at highlighting the journey and getting their perspective from life and just conversing, just tapping in. And today we have somebody that's really really awesome, that's just doing phenomenal things. I'll just read you her short bio. Nana Abba Duncan is an associate professor and the inaugural Carty Chair in Journalism, Diversity, and Inclusion at Carleton University School of Journalism. She is the director of the Mary Ann Shadd Carey Center for Journalism and Belonging, a research center which advocates, supports, and participates in inclusive and belonging-focused journalism in Canada. Nanaba is also the co-founder of Media Girlfriends, a production company led by journalists of color. Before joining Carleton, Nanaba was a host and producer at CBC Radio for 15 years, with her last position being the host of Fresh Air, Ontario's top-rated weekend morning show. So without further ado, everybody, you could give virtual emojis or you could clap. Let's clap it up for Miss Nanaba Duncan.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining our series.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure being able to learn about you. And everyone, thank you for joining. It's going to be a great time. As some of you know, I'm Stephanie, and I will be hosting questions for today to dive into this amazing guest that we have with her amazing experience. So thank you for honoring us with our request to interview you. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm very well.
I'm glad you're well. I'm excited to learn more about you and have everyone hear more about you. So we'll start back. We heard so much about your accomplishments, and we're just hoping to learn, how did this start? What made you think about pursuing journalism? Did you write when you were younger? Were you reading a lot of stories? Were you storytelling? Take us back into time and tell us about you.
First, I want to say hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here, and I think it's an honor. Before I start, I'm really hoping that everybody can turn on their camera for 1 second, please. Just 1 second, so I can say hi to you and see your faces so that I know that you're actually alive and you're a human being. I know that you are a human being. If possible, please let me see your face so I can say hi. Hello. I see Nathaniel. I see Rosamond. Anybody else for 1 second? I'm begging you, please. I beg. 1 second, please. I want to say
If she
hi to
passes
your
you on the
face.
street, she can stop.
Yay, Gabe! Thank you so much. Hi. Hi, Gabe. Nice to see you. Anybody else? Oh, everybody's shy. Oh, Mary. Hi, Mary. Yay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I think Afi is coming. Yay! Hi, Afi. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So how this started was I actually went to school thinking that I was going to get into psychology, but throughout my um, schooling, I mean, uh, I wasn't somebody who really looked at writing and was always doing storytelling or anything like that. However, I was into performance. So I sang in the jazz choir, I played saxophone. There was a group called Sankofa in Toronto. It was a like a West African dance troupe that I was part of. I was part of a step group
Wow.
at York and at York. Um, um, and after in university, I started um, working for the radio station CHRY 105.5, and they had a show called Talking Drums. And so I would come in that show with my friend Adjogarte, and we would read the news. We would figure out what's happening around Africa and read the news. And I also wrote for Ghanaian News in Toronto a little bit.
Oh, wow.
I must have written 3 or 4. I don't know. I wrote some articles. So I started writing in university. I also wrote for the newspaper, like a few. I would review music. I would review, um, like the different CDs basically that would come out that were around hip hop because I was really into hip hop at the time. So I would say that is how it began. But how it coalesced into an interest in journalism is when I was finished my degree and I got my first degree in psychology at U of T. And after that degree, I was meant to do university. Or I was meant to do a master's degree. And to be honest with you, I was so tired of school, Stephanie. I was over it, literally done. And so I was doing some working in a job that actually uh where I used my degree. Um but my father made mention of journalism, and I don't know, I actually cannot pinpoint the moment, but there was a moment where I thought, "Oh, this is a job where I can actually marry my love of performance with um my love of learning about other people." Um, I was, I could write. I knew that I could write those kinds of things. But so when I learned that there was a program that was 1 year long instead of 2 years,
That's amazing. That's a steal.
I said, I said, let me try this one. So I applied to Western, and I eventually got in. And when I got that, when I got in there, it's when I fell in love in radio, with radio.
So,
You could do, you could learn, it was sort of divided into 3 parts where you learn print, TV, and radio. And when I did radio, my God, like that was it. It was a wrap for me. And then you had to arrange an internship. And I had an auntie who worked at GBC. That's why I knew those answers. And although, did I miss one of them? Anyway, yeah, I did miss that one. That was embarrassing because I think it started in 1957. I don't think
I missed that answer too.
I can't remember that one. Anyway, I worked at GBC for like a month, and then I came back because it was just a short internship. But the bug was there, working in radio, putting stories together, editing audio, doing interviews.
Wow.
It really suited me.
That's
It
really
really suited me.
intricate. That's so cool. I love how you were able to just hear mention of something that may work for you when you bridged that gap. I said, this is
Yeah.
actually what I can do. And
Well, also like I had to go to university. I had to do a master's. So like my dad was there, right? So what are you gonna do? At
sure,
least
you
make
have no
yourself happy.
yeah, exactly. Making that choice. After like second year, I was tired of school. I'm like, I have 2
Yeah.
more years to go. So it's good that you
Yeah.
found that 1-year program and could dive into
Yeah.
your career. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then after that year, there was the IDRC, the International Development Research Council, had an inaugural, they launched a journalism degree, a journalism fellowship, and it was $20,000, and it would allow you to go to a country of your choice. So I got it, and of course I chose, you had to go to a developing country. I put this in quotes. And so I chose Ghana. So I went back to Ghana. I worked at
Free trip
GBC
back
for
home.
what's that?
Free trip to back home.
That's listen, that's that's always what I'm trying to do. How do I get to Ghana for free?
Exactly.
So I took that one and I worked at GBC again for a little while. And then I met some folks I met the then country director of an organization called Journalists for Human Rights. And this was an organization that was based in Canada, but they were just then, essentially what they do is they bring journalists from, it's actually a colonial way of doing things, but they bring journalists from here, and then they sort of work with, well, the way they put it was teach people to do journalism in order to do human rights stories. And so I ended up doing some volunteer work for them. They didn't have anything in radio. I helped them set up a relationship. No, I take that back. I helped them form the relationship and solidify the relationship with Radio Gold at the time. And so we did it was a human rights show that aired every other week on that station. That was
Wow.
great.
It sounds great. Do you
Yeah.
remember any of the highlights that you can share with us?
Yeah, one of the things that I remember, there are a few things that come to mind, and some of them might seem really random, but one of them is being on a trotro and seeing someone who had my same features, and having been like, I grew up in Newmarket. I was born in Ghana and we came to Canada when I was young. So I didn't grow up seeing my face everywhere. I didn't grow up, besides family, community, church, even at church, the church we went to it was very white because yeah, because we were in Newmarket, or when we lived in Thornhill, right? And so I remember having a moment where I felt like this is my home. Like, my God, how is it that I'm only now seeing somebody who, like, the cheekbones with the same, like, I saw myself. And so that was a lovely moment. Another thing that stands out is after doing a story, so I was called to do a story, and where it was basically one of these like the opening of some institution where in fact they bus a number of journalists in to come and cover this event. Yeah. And so that at the time they had this thing called Sully. Do you know what that is? Sully?
Unfortunately, no. I'm sure many other people do.
Maybe some people know.
Yes.
Yeah, who said yes?
Myself.
Uh-huh. Please tell everybody what Solly is.
It's like a small money given to journalists when they go out.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember we did this story. And after doing the story, we get back on the bus and everybody gets these tiny brown envelopes and the inside is cash.
Oh.
And I thought, wow. I mean, I'm going to take the cash. But what I remember thinking is, you know, I have no independence here. As a journalist, I have no incentive to, if I wanted to write something honestly that was potentially negative to this organization. I think Vanessa's mic is on. If I wanted to do that, then I wouldn't be able to, or I would feel uncomfortable doing it, because I could understand a person thinking like, oh, I that you would be biting the hand that feeds you, or you would no longer be invited to cover for a different event. But I didn't say anything. And the thing that I really understood was that for many people, this was their job. This is how they got money, because they weren't getting paid much from the organization, right? But it does really highlight the bias in news.
Okay.
It really, really highlights the bias there. And I think bias exists everywhere. We're all biased. We grow up biased. We're born and raised, we're raised to be biased in some ways. But I remember thinking, wow, I guess this is how it runs, eh?
Right. So I'm assuming that while you're in school, there was discussion about integrity with journalism. Was that
Yeah,
what
you're
was
supposed
buzzing?
to. Yeah, you're literally supposed to do things factually. You actually learn. I have taught this now, you know, issues around ethics, and having been working at CBC as well, things that we're told, you know, you cannot take payment. In many instances, in most instances, you can't receive. We actually have something that says you cannot receive a gift that's anything more than $200, and even then, you wouldn't even get it as a host. I'm not allowed to be given any money,
right,
at all from anywhere, and that is actually on the newer side. There was a time where if you were a big time host and you wanted to host an event, they could pay you 15,000, 20,000. Like, people would get this kind of money.
Wow.
On the side, yeah. And I think that is actually how it is, but that's because it's a public broadcaster. Because it, you know, but in a as a private, and I think that was for GBC. So again, it was just, I don't know, it gave me a lot of food for thought.
I hear you. So that was an internship that you had after the 1 year program, and then you came back. So
Yeah.
Speaking about not seeing yourself in Newmarket and then seeing yourself in Ghana, how was it as a Black woman, a minority group, being able to get an opportunity in CBC, such a big, renowned company? How did you get your
Well,
foot?
there's a story there. So the reason why I came back from Ghana, my time was actually cut short there. So my father died. And when my father died, I had we were all grieving. So I was meant to do this job. You know how I told you that I met the country director of Journalists for Human Rights. I actually then got a job to be the country director. So I was country director for 6 months. And then, but my father died just before, or just around the time that I had gotten the job. And so at some point I just told my boss, like, I'm not okay. Like, I have to go home. Like, I can't do this. So I went home, and for 5 years I worked in advertising and marketing before I got a job at CBC.
Wow.
So when I came home, it was just, you know, get a job, like get some money. So I worked at the Bay at the makeup counter.
Okay.
I found a job with a newspaper called the Women's Post, where I was selling the newspaper. I
Got your
was
foot in the door.
like, I was doing advertising, like going around to companies, asking them to pay some small money to advertise in this little paper. And then eventually I started writing for that. But there was a woman that I met there who I worked with, and I had a good relationship with her. When she later, a few years later, went to CBC and they needed somebody to be on air, it was like this fun show. She worked on a show called Go with Brent Banbury. And this was a show where it was kind of silly, funny. It's not really newsy at all. And they needed they needed an extroverted person to play some type of game or something on the air.
Okay.
And I said, yes. So she said, do you want to do this? I said, yeah.
Of
So I
course, why
came,
not?
but that was it. Like, it was a wrap. I said, you people don't know what you've done by letting me inside your building, because I went into, when I got there, even my sister said this to me, as soon as I got there, I was pitching, I was having meetings, I was talking to people, and that was because I knew that that's where I was going to be. And I said to the producer of the show, I said, I'm supposed to be here.
I love it.
Man, I had some confidence, boy.
That's what we need.
I said, I'm supposed to be here. And he's like, well, do you want to have a meeting? Like, I was like, yeah. So later on we had a meeting, and by that time I didn't have all my stuff together. So I was like, between and my boyfriend, now husband, at the time, he knew about websites. So I quickly put together a website, put all my stuff up, like all my content that I had done before, so that I could like send it to him and say, okay, here. And I had a meeting with him, and he's like, yeah, I don't really have anything, but like, really nice to meet you. And you know what? I'm going to send an email, and this is an amazing thing. And this was a white man. And it's important for me to say that, because there was nobody like me there that I could. So I have always appreciated him. He sent an email to the producers of many, many shows and said, I have just met Nana Duncan. At the time I was going by Nana. So annoying. And he was like, you know, if you have a door that can open, you should open it for her, which was a blessing. He didn't have to do that. And then sometime later, I think within that year, he's like, I actually have this position. It's like you have to be on air for 5 minutes, and it's like a regular position every week. And you basically ask a quiz question, just like what we saw here. You ask a quiz question on air, and then people will email the answer, and then you randomly choose someone, and then email and then mail them like swag.
Wow.
I was like, yes, I will do it. And because of, and that is actually when I skipped before I had said that I had all those meetings and stuff. It is when I got this position is when I started to go to people and said I wanted to have coffees, and I told everybody the thing that I wanted to do, which was produce and host. And there were a bunch of no's, like, I don't really have anything. And then finally, there was a position, somebody was sort of leaving a position for some time, and I got in and got that job. So the first job that I got, or outside after that, was in an area called Radio 2. So where I was CBC Radio 1, which is where the news and the stories are read, and Radio 2 is where the music is. So I actually ended up in music for about 6 to 7 years in the music department.
Wow, what are the odds with you having that background in music, saxophone playing,
Yeah. But I didn't like it. The music they were playing, I didn't like it.
Were you able to change it, or?
No.
Okay, just
no. They have their own choices of the music they want to play. But what I had to do was, as a journalist, you're often telling, and I've told students this before too, is that you're told there are many times where you're doing stories that you don't want to do. But as a journalist, you have to find where the story is. So, okay, you don't like Blue Rodeo or Jim Cuddy or whoever these people are. You don't like that music. Fine. What about a story? Everyone has a story. Every person has a story. So as much as I was, not really in love with the music that they were playing, I found, I was a journalist, so I had to find the stories. And so I
find something interesting about it to share with other people.
Yeah.
That's
and I
amazing.
continued to tell people what it is that I wanted to do there in order to get some opportunities.
That's great. I think that's something that a lot of people should take away. There's so much things that you said that people should take away. So I just want to highlight again, if you're able to be given just an opportunity, just one, take advantage of it, run with it.
Yeah. Following the yeses is how I call it. Basically just saying yes all the time. but I think that now that I'm 15, 20 years older than that time, the thing that I'll say is that um because we don't often, we us Black people, Black women, um anybody, we don't always get chances, and then when we do get the chances, we say yes. And I think that it is good to say yes, but you also have to know where your boundaries are.
Mhm.
Now I'm a person who is often trying to say no. I get asked to do things all the time. And often it's yes because I'm good. Sometimes it's also because you're good and you have this brilliant, or you have this perspective that we want you to share. Or, we know that you know how to host. We know that you know how to moderate. Please, please, please. Um, you have to know when to say no. And if you need to say no nicely, you can do that too. But what I struggle with right now is learning how to turn off the yes, I will do that. Or even what that bred in me is this idea is like, what else can I do? Which I think in some ways came from my father pushing me education wise. What will you do now? What will you do next? How are you going to achieve that? Those kinds of things. But what my parents didn't teach me is how to rest. And as much as I love them, they didn't teach me how to rest because they couldn't rest.
Mhm.
They were working.
Yeah, in this North
What is
America.
rest? What are we talking
Exactly.
about? But I think that's something that I now have to teach myself, which is I have to teach myself how to just sit down. Um,
I think that's very good to say, especially with a lot of us now seeing that there's a lot of newcomers to Canada. You had a little bit of opportunity to leave Ghana. You were living a life in Ghana, but you saw that there was maybe greener grass on this side of Canada, and all you want to do is get enough money to pay your school fees and to make a new life for yourself.
yes.
Don't burn yourself out. learn, learn from the now, but take this opportunity to balance rest and hustle because
Yes.
that's so important.
And we're getting the question, oh, how do we even spell rest? I said, I think it starts with an R.
Yeah.
My husband tells me that I don't know really how to rest either. And, I really do have to work at it.
Yeah.
I'm quite
Gotta be
serious because I
intentional.
don't rest. Now I'm getting at an age where my body is different. And by that, I mean that I'm entering the years of perimenopause and menopause. And I share that with everybody because we do go through these stages in life, and you can go ahead and ignore the things in your body if you want, but there will come a time where you really cannot ignore what your body is telling you. So my body now is telling me to rest, and I have to find ways to listen.
Yeah. And if you don't, your body will force you to.
That's it. And I'm not interested in that.
Exactly. Because you won't like it. So
Yeah.
take this as a lesson, everyone. Awesome. So back to your transition in your career. You pivoted from CBC and took on initiative of your own called Media Girlfriends. How did you get started in that with your co-founder?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer that while I answer this question from Nathaniel. Nathaniel's
Okay.
asking, how was waking up early every Saturday and Sunday for fresh air? Nathaniel, it was difficult, is how I will say it in one word. It was difficult. I had two children at the time who were 3 and 5. They're much older now, but 3 and 5. And so Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to work around 3 or 4. And so when I came back, I was just a mess. I just like would come home. I remember one time coming home and just lying on the floor and staring at the ceiling. I was so tired. So I don't think that I was the best parent, but that's not for me to judge. It was difficult, but at the same time, I loved fresh air. I loved not only hosting, I loved talking to different people and going out and getting those stories. And it was what I wanted. I wanted that job so much. I really, really wanted that job. I tried for that job. I really tried for that job, and I eventually got it. So I'm proud of that. Media Girlfriends actually started around just before I got fresh air. I got fresh air after I came back from my second parental leave. So in my second parental leave, I had an idea. Um, Basically, something big happened at CBC where there was now this huge opportunity to host a certain show, and not fresh air. And some people, I remember thinking, I can't even put my hand up to host this show because there's no proof. There's nothing out there. Even though I know I could be an interviewer, I could be a good interviewer. At the time, I had kind of guest hosted a couple of shows, done a lot of producing where you're putting stories together. But no one really knew me as an interviewer. And so the idea that I had during this time was, well, I'm going to create a podcast. I was in love with podcasts, especially when they first came out. And I was like, I'm going to make a podcast. I'm going to make a podcast, and it's going to be me interviewing other women who work in journalism. That's what I'm going to do. So I called it Media Girlfriends. And Media Girlfriends was something that then it was just a podcast, and then it grew to some events to be events, and then we ended up making a scholarship, creating a scholarship where we ended up giving out $74,000 to students who were in journalism, communications, or media. And the reason why we did that was because we were women. Our group was a group of women of color, people who were queer, straight, people who wanted to have kids, never wanted to have kids. We were quite an eclectic group. And in terms of the journalism industry, by me having these conversations out in the open, people were kind of like, who's that? Like, who are they? Not necessarily who's Nanapa, but more like, oh, there are these people, and we're getting to really hear their views and who they are. And journalism is not just the white boys. And I think that that was really important for us to do. And so we were able to raise money for those scholarships, I think, because we represented diversity in our industry. And so people were really happy to give. And I will say another reason why we were able to raise that money, we raised it like just crowdfunding basically on Twitter at the time, when it was called Twitter at the time. And I have a number, the people that my group, Media Girlfriends, ended up being some of the people that I just had interviewed. And so at least 3 of them are women who have hosted on TV on Much Music. And for anybody who doesn't know that, Much Music was this show where it was you played videos, and they had VJs, video journalists who would interview artists, and they would be on TV, and the artists would come down to Queen and Young, and it was a huge deal. So 3 of them, Nam Kiwanuka, Jen Holland, and Namageni Kiwanuka, Jen Holland, and Hannah Sung. 3 of them are my Media Girlfriends. The thing is that they happen to have their own followings. So when we started to do this crowdfunding, I think people were supporting them. But to get back to it, Media Girlfriends ended up moving on to becoming an actual production company, a podcast production company. So we started making podcasts, and we did them for the Toronto Star, for Historica Canada. Historica Canada was our first client, and with them we created a Black History podcast and video series. It's then that yeah, and it's 6 episodes in both French and English, and it also has some teaching aids attached to it. And the thing that I'm really proud of for that one is that it launched for me a relationship with Marianne Shad Carey, who's a woman that I knew about but didn't know a whole lot about. Marianne Shad Carey was the first Black woman to publish and edit a newspaper in Canada. She came up from the States when the Fugitive Slave Act was enacted, and just like many other people, they were just leaving. They were leaving the States because people were literally trying to catch Black people and put them back into slavery. And so her family left, and she came here, and she started a paper. It was a big deal to be a woman, to be a Black woman starting a paper in 1853. That was a huge deal. And I remember thinking when I met her, or when I came to know about her, why didn't I learn this in school? Like in journalism, in my journalism degree, you could not talk about race. You could not talk about race without somebody saying like, why are we talking about that? 100%. It was not like you couldn't. So it makes sense really that nobody would teach me about Marianne Shad Carey. But the relationship I have with her now is that a couple of members of her family We had them on the podcast. So one of the people that we featured for the podcast was Marianne Shadcarry, and in telling her story, we spoke to her some of her family members, and those family members were who I went to when I was later on when I got to Carleton. I was encouraged to consider a research project to ask for some research money to do something. And I thought, we don't have an institution in Canada that is always thinking about journalism and inclusion. And so I think we should start one. And I think that we should name it after Marianne Shadcarry because her name is not attached to journalism in any way. And it should be because she was a journalist. She published a newspaper and she wrote what she wanted, man. She wrote what she wanted. And she also would like she would I don't know, I thought the term is not throw shade, but like she would like say the negative things that in her mind needed to be said. She really was a trailblazer and she just was so confident, and I love that about her because I don't always feel confident, and I don't always feel like I could say what needs to be said in some ways because of how things were at CBC. You can't really speak out, and I just love that about her. Yeah.
Fine. I love that. So when you were working on Media Girlfriends, again, you were just trying to connect, make a name for yourself, but I'm sure the vision started to change as you grew bigger and saw the diversity. So how has journalism changed since you've made that this media company? Have you seen more diversity, more people speaking out?
100%. Like at CBC, I remember before I left, I would see more Black people. I'd be like, hello, what is your name?
Right.
Hi, who are you? But they were always young, and which is wonderful. What the criticism that I give to CBC is that, you can't just hire people in the positions that are part-time or lower in status. You absolutely have to consider hiring Black people and other people of color and other people from different marginalized communities in um in leadership roles. And I mean high leadership roles. If you want any change, they have to be there. They have to be in those rooms. And so what I have seen is those kinds of changes. I've seen changes after George Floyd was murdered. There were definitely changes that happened at CBC. I was there. I was watching some of them happen. But they don't always stick. And sometimes I think diversity is a bit of a fad for some folks.
Yeah.
And
Something like
the
checklist.
changes. What's that?
Something on their checklist.
Yeah. And like I do think sometimes that diversity can be a checklist in order to make sure that you get things done. But I think that the way journalism has changed now is that the things that we talk about in our industry is how there is no more money and how things are becoming more consolidated. And by that, I mean, you have fewer and fewer organizations or people owning more and more companies. And then there's the defragmentation of journalism in general, where you have people getting their news in so many different places. And we have our echo chambers. And so now we have people who are getting their news from extremely right wing or extremely left wing places. And you may have also some places that are fairly neutral being called or being considered left wing or white right wing just because they are telling the truth or something like that. And I take that back. Sometimes I think it's more often organizations that are um, that are telling the truth about certain stories and certain issues. They're immediately seen as left wing, and I think that's unfair. Um, but I also think that it's because of this defragmentation and us becoming more polarized through the media that, like, I do think that the media is participating in some of that polarization.
That's fair. What are some stories that you remember that you're most proud of sharing, that really moved you or just got you excited?
One story that I did was it was on Fresh Air, and it was after George Floyd was murdered, and I was talking to um a man whose name escapes me now. He was a human rights lawyer. What is his name? He's a human rights lawyer, and he was defending, working for a man named Devonte Miller. And Devonte Miller was a man who was beaten up by two white men who were like off-duty police officers, and he was beaten very, very badly. And I learned that this man, this even though he appeared very, very fair, that this man, the human rights lawyer, he was Black.
Oh,
And I remember saying to him on the air, because I knew what was going on with me, I said, this is quite a difficult time. How is this all for you? And he paused, and I didn't really hear what was going on. Actually, for a second, I was like, did we lose him? Like, what happened? And he said, I'm sorry, like my father just died. My father just died recently, and he came here from Jamaica to make a life for me and my family. And he just kind of went on from there to speak honestly about how hard it is to see how Black people are being treated and how tough the job is. We didn't talk about, his fairness or anything, but I know the man feels it, right?
yeah.
And so what I'm proud of is being an interviewer who appreciates, and I really encourage people's humanity. I encourage people to speak from a sense of their humanity. I think that's where my strength lies. Often I have felt like I'm not a real journalist because I don't do hard news, or because I don't work in specifically the news department, or didn't work in the news department for most of my career. But that's an idea I've had to disabuse myself of, and something that I tell my first year students as well, that if you are an arts journalist, you're a journalist. If you are a journalist who is mainly focused on sports, you're a journalist. If you work in politics, it doesn't mean that you're more of a journalist than the rest, but you're a journalist. And if that's all, if you have the one thing that you like, I think that's good too. So.
Awesome. That's great. So speaking of your students, how did you transition from CBC to teaching, being a professor?
Ooh, that was hard. That was really hard.
You made
It was
it.
so difficult. So, the one thing that I had to, a number of things that I had to learn, and that I continue to learn. One is learning how to actually put a course together.
Yeah.
Planning the classes every single week. Now, in my background, I have done some leadership things. I've spoken in front of crowds before. I've done things where I've had to done some sort of like teaching of small groups of people before in some of the work that I've done, but not like this. Not like this.
A different level.
Different level. And in academia, the things that as a professor, the three things that you're meant to focus on is your teaching, your research, and your service. And with the teaching, there was just a lot of technical things to learn. I realized that there are a lot of things that I could bring. So speaking in front of a class, that's fun and easy and delightful for me. Like I thrive on that kind of thing. That's why I ask to see people's faces, for example. Like I really, really like being in contact with people in that large group format. And the research part is something that I have had to learn, but I'm realizing I'm really good at it. I'm good at it. And I've had to also try, I've had to write grants, and I'm getting money. I got a grant, one grant for $62,000, another grant for $25,000, another grant for $100,000. And these are because I am writing on paper. I am writing about these ideas, this research that I'm doing right now that really needs to happen. It's unique research that I'm doing because no one else has done it before. And so I am proud that I have gotten good at being able to convince people that the work that I'm doing is worthy of their support.
Sure. Worthy of their donation, their time and energy and support. That's amazing. So when that opportunity came up, I always know that professors had to do teaching and had to do research. I don't know it feels like sometimes the professor doesn't know how to teach and they're just in it for the research. So did they approach you first about the research or about the teaching, and then
So,
what does that look like?
well, I mean, this was a time when after George Floyd was murdered, remember everybody had those boxes, and then there was also the companies that were saying like, "Yay, we care about Black people now." Well, some other things that happened where certain jobs were created, and this job is the Cardi Chair in Journalism, Diversity, and Inclusion Studies, and this was created because the students at the school issued a call to action. They said, "You've been racist. We have experienced racist things at work or at school. Some of our teachers, we've had to hear the N-word in class and nobody says anything. Some of us are assumed to have assumed to be ESL just because we're racialized or whatever it is." And so the school, to its credit, was like, "Yeah, it's been about 80 years, and yeah, we've been racist. And so what we will do now is take a number of steps to change that. And one of the steps that they took was to create and was to listen to one of the call to actions was like, you got to get some Black people in here. You have to get some racialized teachers here, please. And so the job was up, and I was off actually doing a fellowship at U of T, a journalism fellowship at U of T. And somebody here just kind of let me know that this job was available. And I I immediately was like, what? Like what? Like I honestly just didn't think, I'll admit to you, I didn't think I was smart enough. I said, me, a professor? I know. It's really ridiculous. And I, at the time, in the fellowship where I was at U of T, I was taking a leadership course at Rotman and at the School of Rotman. And I was guided through an activity there I ended up creating my own personal manifesto. What do I want? What do I want? I have had a couple of moments in my career where I just wrote down, what is it that I want? Exactly. What is it that I want? And, when this job came, I realized that I could lay that job onto my mission. And so I went for it. I applied. To apply to be a professor, you have to not only, make the application, like write things down, you also have to show them what your research will be, and you have to show and how you will do it. And you have to create like a mock class and actually teach it. So when you go, they will bring not only just like the head of the department, they'll bring other profs and a couple of other students, and you're teaching like this. I did it like this. That like they put you in it. You got to do it for real. And I did that. And then you have to tell them what your research plan is. What will you do when you're here? And I did that as well. And then another odd thing about becoming a professor in academia is that like you have to have dinner with them. It's weird, where you just kind of like you have to hang out with them. And this was all on Zoom. It was that time, pandemic times, and I got it. I got the job, and I knew two other people who were applying for it. One of them was my friend, and she was just like, whatever happens, like it'll be cool. She's like my best friend. And so she ended up getting something else, an amazing fellowship somewhere else, and I got this job. So it's great. So in terms of the learning curve, it's tough, and it has been, but I know I'm up for it. I have really felt like, wow, I can do a lot. I've been pushed.
Yeah, this has expanded you.
Yeah, it really has.
So I know you had the vision of your research. How far in advance did you have this idea to apply that to what you would do in at Carleton, or did you think about focusing on sharing diverse stories when you were asked to show your research?
Okay. So, because the job was journalism, diversity, and inclusion studies, And that is the mandate. That's how I tailored the research that I approached with them. And I also had an eye for, or rather included some principles of inclusion and diversity in the mock lecture that I gave. So even though that class was about podcasting, I chose some podcasts that were either Black led or they featured marginalized communities. And I did it in a way that the courses, or to show them that the content that I'll teach, like whatever it is that you give me that I will teach, inclusion will always be at the foundation of whatever it is that I teach. But to get to your question about the research, I had to kind of like I had to think of some things. I had to make some things up. But there's something I didn't tell them actually, that I wanted to create a center. It wasn't until later on when I had gotten the job where I kind of told them, like, look, this is an idea that I think that I will like engage in about 3-4 years. But we don't have an institution in Canada that is, focused on diversity and inclusion. And they're like, you have to write that one down. So that is when I started to engage in the idea. And I have sort of felt like I have put this big idea out, and I'm now sort of, it's like I created this box and I'm now sort of starting to fill it in.
Mhm.
Does that answer the question about like when did I think about the different research ideas?
Yeah, for sure. And so I do want to know more about the center. When I read
Yeah.
about it, I was trying to envision what your vision is. So
Yeah. So essentially the Shad Carey Center is going to be a place where I am doing research that is focused on journalism and diversity. And because I'm Black, I start Black. So right now I'm working with my colleague, Eternity Martis, who's a Black professor over at TMU. And we are doing a project called Reporting in Black Communities. And for Reporting in Black Communities, we're trying to create a guide that would help our industry to do better, essentially. And by that, I mean that I want our practices, our strategies to recognize that there's been harm done to Black communities in terms of how we are presented in the news, and even how people are treated inside the newsrooms. I also have another survey that I did specifically. It's called the Black Journalist and Media Worker Survey, and that one is a survey that went out to across Canada, and I'm now in the analysis phase. And these two will be all of these will be put together to create this guide. And it takes a lot of work. We have determined that we are going to, what are we going to do? We actually went to Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, and Edmonton to talk to different Black people there to find out how they perceive the way that they've been presented in the news. So we're going to take all that information, and now we're actually in the middle of interviewing non-Black journalists. So we have white interviewers interviewing white journalists about their experiences, finding out what it is that they actually need in a guide. We'll put all that together and then create a guide with modules and all this kind of stuff.
that's great.
It's 8:30 now, so I know that I'm a long talker. So I understand that maybe it's time to wrap it up.
That's perfect, because I was just thinking of, like, right now you said you're in this process of gathering things. What's a timeline that we're looking at to having this guide, and what to expect?
Yeah, well, first we're going to have a symposium. A symposium will be in February, and that's where we're going to bring some of the key stakeholders. We'll bring non-Black journalists, Black journalists, non-Black newsroom leaders, and Black community members together to talk about some of the harm that has come to Black community members. For example, just if you are from a certain area, sometimes that can affect how people look at you when you're looking for a job, and that's not fair, right? Things like that. So we're going to bring those people together, and hopefully we'll have the guide itself will be out like beginning of 2027.
Awesome. Okay, that's around the corner. That's great. So with that, I'm hoping that a lot of people can learn from the guide. I'm glad you're able to share your experiences and your knowledge in the classroom and now on this platform. So for those who are pursuing a career in journalism, what are some tips that you may have for them?
Around getting into journalism?
Yeah, or not just getting in, but after they finish school.
If there's a paper or any publication or any news outlet that you want to be part of, read their work, actually consume their work, know what it is that they do. So many people who are hiring tell me that people come to them and they want to work there, but they haven't read their stuff. They don't know what it is that they don't know their talk. Do your homework. Please, I beg you, do your homework around that. And then I would also say follow the yeses if you can. And in journalism, I think that it's always good to go where you're led. So if you find yourself getting an opportunity to work in New Brunswick, you should take it.
Sure, as long as you have the opportunity, go for it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Before I ask a few last questions, I'll open up the floor to anyone else who has any more questions. Feel free, if you can, raise your hand and come off mute.
And one thing I'll say is that, like I asked this of my class too, that if you don't have questions, what I'd love to hear is what is really landing for you in anything that I have said. Mary, hello.
I have to say a huge thank you, Nanaba. This has been great and inspirational. Your story is amazing. I hope you're writing a book actually, so that we
I'm
can,
not. Mary, I don't have time. Stop.
definitely think about it one day. You should write a book about your story because I think if many young people want to hear it, the journey is never, go to school, do this, and then you get to the door. But availing yourself for many opportunities to be able to be used. And I think your stories are very inspiring, and I really appreciate that you took time to come join us to, share a little bit. I mean, I've followed you, but I've not really known your story. And I think you telling us has been really great. And I appreciate you for coming to share with us. I don't have questions, but I'm learning as the world of journalism for sure. This has been very great to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Mike Truth, what is your actual name?
That is my name. No, it's Michael Ampa. So
Oh, okay, Michael,
Mike
thank you.
Truth, yeah. But no, just to kind of second what Mary's saying, honestly, very, very inspiring because I also I am in the media space, like because I have a show that I host as well, and so it's very inspiring, hearing your journey, and especially you being, from the same descent as myself, being Ghanaian as well. So that's it's phenomenal, and I'm just inquiring as well, like in your from your perspective, in your opinion, the future of the media or journalism when it comes to blackness, and then even more so um Africanness, if you will, in Canada.
Mhm.
Right? Do you like what are your can you speak on it, and what are your thoughts about where it's heading, and what how it could look like in the future?
Can you ask the question again?
Absolutely. So what's your perspective on the future of blackness in the Canadian media,
Mm-hmm.
and also Africanness? Well, not to really separate both, I guess.
No, I think that what my thoughts are is that there's opportunity.
Mm.
And we have more people who are interested in our perspectives. And I think that we should like slam the doors open and walk through and stomp through. And be as African as possible. Bring it all. Because more and more people are interested, but that is how people get to know about you. So for example, um, one holiday, for a story over Christmas, I made my mother make bofrots, and I recorded that experience, and that was what went on air, right? So if you're a person, so many cultures have like fried dough, but maybe they haven't heard of bofrots, you know? And to me, those are my small ways of bringing myself, bringing my people, bringing all of us there. Because for sure, somebody's listening and saying, "Oh my gosh," you know? My mother never made bofrots again, but still.
No, no, that's that's a really that's a very cool thing to actually display, and like I find that sometimes here in Canada there's a lot of bridging that needs to happen, and so things like that is very cool.
Yeah.
And talking about I guess bridging as well. um how do we like the ones that are up and coming as well in the journalism field or the media field, how do we connect and bridge with folks like yourself who have been paving the way, you know
Mm.
for folks like us. I love the initiative that you spoke about, but how do we further that, how do we bridge more?
Like how can they connect to more people like me?
Yes.
Well, they should just literally connect. Like, I think that if there's somebody that you've been following who you really like, send an email and ask for time. But don't, because so many folks I would say at my level, without, trying to sound like a snob, is that my time is really limited. So it's not good to ask to send an email and say, "Can I pick your brain?" Rather, um, tell people how much time it's going to be about, how much time it's going to take, and exactly what you want to talk about. So instead of "Can I pick your brain?" it's, "Hi Nanaba, I really appreciate your work. I would love to spend some time with you. Do you have some time? Do you have 15 minutes on the week of May 15th on Tuesday?" Or so, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to be really specific and let them know you're not there to just take up their whole time. There are some people who, and the thing about that is that, you're asking for 15 minutes. I'll give you 15 minutes, but if I've set aside the 15 minutes, I might now take a half an hour with you, you know?
Mhm.
But ask for some small amount of time and be specific. Oh, yes. Adding to that, you're saying, "I'd like to talk about, um, uh, I'm struggling with, which direction to take when it comes to journalism, and I'm hoping you can help." Like, so that I know what we're talking about. Being really specific and having some type of direction, even if it's sort of generic, it makes people know, like, okay, yeah, like they're serious. But you shouldn't be afraid to ask. Like, if there's somebody's work who you like, email them.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And like, what, with that, I'm gonna yield the floor and ask if anybody else also has any to add or any more questions, guys, because this has been a great session so far.
I just want to emphasize one more thing on that. So, as Nanaba said, she has a winning personality, an extroverted personality, and I know that there's some shy people out there. So, in
Yeah.
your own way, just sending that email, take that shot. Sometimes you have to do it afraid, and you don't have
Yeah.
to be the bold one who is going to different offices to ask if you can have a second with the CEOs. If you're too shy, just starting off with that conversation with someone.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that, Stephanie, because, and I miss saying that this time, I have a certain personality. It's very easy for someone like me who's extroverted to be like, "Hi, can I, like, that's who I am." But I have to recognize that not everybody is like that, right? Not everyone is ready to just run up to whoever and talk to them. But there is a level of courage that you have to have in order to approach someone. Don't not approach them. Find your way of approaching somebody, right? Find your way. I see that Maureen had a question about my legacy, where I wanted to be, whether it's in both Ghana and Canada. So when I was working in Ghana, I actually thought that that's where my legacy would be. Not that I really thought about my legacy back then, but I mean, I was doing journalism in Ghana. I was very, very proud to be doing it there because, like, mommy and daddy, they came here for us and they sacrificed. They barely taught us tree. They were so tired all the time. And um, I was proud that I could take what I learned here and go to Ghana and use what I learned there. And then I found myself back here. So I like this question because I don't know how to answer it. I want my legacy to be wherever it needs to be. I do know for sure there will be a legacy um, in Canada. How I can make it in Ghana is something that I've been working on. I have some small ideas of how I would do it, but it would definitely require going back. So to answer the question of going back to Canada, I almost did in the last month or so. It didn't quite work out. There's an organization called Farm Radio International, and they have a relationship with Carleton University where a number of students go to Ghana, Zambia, a number of other African countries, and they create podcasts on sustainable ideas in sustainable agricultural solutions um, um, through radio, and they talk about it through radio and the podcast. And so the organization wanted me to come and supervise that. It didn't work out, but that is the kind of thing that I like to do. So the answer is yes, I do plan to go to Ghana, and I have an idea for a podcast that I would like to reach not only Ghanaian children, but to reach African children in the diaspora. So that's something I've been slowly working on.
Wow, 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 wow. No, honestly, like this session has been phenomenal. Um, thank you so much, Nanaba. And thank you so much, Stephanie, as well. Awesome interview. Like, really, can guys in the audience, can we get some emojis going? Can we get a little clap if you guys feel inspired from within? But no, thank you so much for granting us this time and coming in and sharing your journey, because yes, you are truly inspirational and you are a black star for us.
What?
But no, like we really appreciate you. And where can folks get in contact with you, or any the projects that that you have coming up? Where can we follow your projects or some of the works that you—
Yeah, here, I'll just put it in it's just nanabaduncan.com. You can find out what I'm doing there.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, like us from the GCAO, we are wishing you much more continued success and all the blessings in the world. You
Thank you.
deserve the very best, and we're rooting, like we're behind you, with you.
Yes, I'm also rooting for you all. Yay.
So much. So guys, so today's session, like we're gonna end it here, and this is our monthly series called Inspire from Within, where our aim is to really highlight the folks within our community that are really doing amazing and that are inspirational folks for us, because it's very important that we know who we commune with, and we encourage, support, and also pull from one another to be able to inspire and make Ghana bold and strong, and us Canadians as well. We are a great nation, so we come together and be marvelous Canada, Maple. But yes, guys. So thank you guys so much, and we'll be back next month with another amazing guest. Nanaba, have an excellent evening.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Mike. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. And so the folks that are in here, make sure say you share, the GCAO link with friends who may not, know about the GCAO. Like make sure you guys share information. We're hoping to expand, and we have so much amazing initiatives and projects that are coming up this
Yeah,
summer.
sorry. And we have recorded this link. So if you have friends who are unable to watch, we will be posting the link so you can see it on our YouTube channel so they can be here for our next event. Sorry, Gifty, you won the game. So I would like to get your contact info so I can send you a prize. I will message in our GCAO WhatsApp platform so you can also DM me from there and we'll get you that prize. And sorry, I'll let Mike continue.
Oh, no, that's perfect. I just literally wanted to say this for the whole night. Like, congrats, Gift. You're gonna get your gift. Get it? Gifty. I just wanted to say that. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys. Have yourself an excellent evening, and that is a wrap. Peace.